From the BBC World Service, in association with ABC and All India Radio, this is Stumped.
Hello and welcome to Stumped, your intercontinental hit of news, features and debate from the quirky world of cricket. I'm Alison Mitchell, coming to you from a hotel room in Birmingham in the UK, where I'm making my annual foray away from cricket and into the world of dogs. Yes, it's Crufts time again, the biggest dog show in the world. But I am very pleased to be back in the UK because I had a little bit of drama just before flying home from Australia, where I found I had a couple of deep vein thromboses in my legs. I want to say thank you to all our listeners and viewers who have wished me well on social media. Very pleased to have got the treatment that I did. And it's fun to be in the world of dogs for a while.
Woof, woof, woof.
Where's Rusty when we
Nice
need
to
him,
see
Jim?
you back home. It's Jim Maxwell for the ABC. I'm here in Christchurch, and it's a beautiful, beautiful place nowadays with all the reconstruction and the weather. This is autumn at its best, so deliciously autumnal going into the second test, of course, with Australia looking for 2-0 and New Zealand perhaps a 1-1 result.
And I'm Charu Sharma for Akashvani. Sorry, Alison, I didn't quite wish you on social media, but I wish you well here on Stumped.
It's much better in person.
Yeah, and you guys, for a change, are all over the place, and I'm home in Bangalore. Good to be here. But a quick word on Dharamshala. It's a beautiful, beautiful place in the stadium, but I think the English fans and the team not quite enjoying the sights anymore because they started badly in their final test.
They have. Yeah, it doesn't matter how pretty a backdrop it is. If you're losing wickets quickly, it never looks good, does it? Now, on this week's Stumped, we're going to be asking how Ireland cricket can capitalise after winning their first ever men's test match. And we're going to be taking stock of the Women's Premier League in India as the competition has now hot-footed its way to Delhi. But Jim, yeah, you're in Christchurch, aren't you, for that second test match between New Zealand and Australia. I just want to ask you, first of all, how you're finding the country, because I was there this time last year with England's men, but it's been, 8 years since the Aussie men had a test tour to New Zealand. So have you been getting out and about very much?
Not a lot. I've been pretty much confined to cricket matches, and I'd have to say the Basin Reserve is one of the more exciting places to watch cricket in the world. It's a cricket ground. We get lost in stadiums so often, particularly in Australia. So it was wonderful to be at this extraordinary place. And now I've never been to Hagley before. It was Lancaster Park in the days I came here. So I'm looking forward to it. I've just been down at a function celebrating 50 years since New Zealand beat Australia for the very first time in a test match. And all the old hands, Glenn Turner, Richard Hadley, they were all down there. So they're having a bit of a spark to try and excite this New Zealand team after their, you'd have to say, poor loss to Australia in the first game. And as Pat Cummins pointed out, there's no dead rubbers anymore. For Australia, this is good news because they get more points for the WTC. And New Zealand and India are their closest rivals at the moment in this curious percentage points table they have.
Yeah, that's the World Test Championship. What about that first test, though, Jim? Because, it went Australia's way. From New Zealand's perspective, the test was sort of dominated, wasn't it, by the omission and then the subsequent retirement of Neil Wagner, who's been such a talismanic fast bowler, wholehearted fast bowler for New Zealand and such a fan favourite. We had him on Stumps, didn't we, not too long ago, talking about one of his favourite ever test matches, which was that gripping last gasp win over England at the Basin Reserve last year. But, he's not a spring chicken, is he? Jimmy Anderson is in Dharamshala, over 40, and Wagner's fifth on New Zealand's all-time test wicket taking list. Do you think there is more going on here than just New Zealand changing the guard? Because Ross Taylor, their former captain, has intimated as much. I wonder sort of what the whispers have been on the ground around the camp.
I think the feeling was rising 38. Wagner was probably past it. He lost a bit of oomph in that series they had against South Africa. He's an intimidatory type bowler with an amazing record. 260 test wickets at a strike rate of 52 balls a wicket. That is something. And they certainly could have done with him the other day when that last wicket partnership was flourishing between Josh Hazlewood and Cameron Green. They put on 116. And really, Southey ran out of ideas. One idea could have been to bowl the off spinner who did so well, Glyn Phillips, in the second innings took 5 for 45. He didn't bowl a ball. in the first innings. So it was all a little bit weird. But I do think it's a time for a changing of the guard. Even Hero Rourke has been injured because he bowled more overs in the Test match than he'd ever bowled in a first-class match. And they brought in Ben Sears, a Tyro, a quick one. So I think the die was cast, really. I don't think they were going to go back to Wagner, even though they've enjoyed what he's done and they've been giving him a pretty good send-off, as I hear, out of that game in Wellington.
Yeah, it sort of almost felt, Cheryl, if, could they have given him these last 2 home Test matches against Australia if they didn't want to take him on tour, and for the future, and just allowed him to have that kind of big finale and a farewell?
Well, that's the kind of generosity that some countries show. For instance, India might well have done that for their own star, saying, well, we'll give him a nice home send-off. But, at 38, you do have to wonder, although with Anderson going on 41 or what, age is not the criteria. There are 2 factors here, apart from all that Ross Taylor said about his being shoved out rather than volunteering out or, going out with grace. The next set of tours are all in the subcontinent. And that usually is pretty rough for fast bowlers. So it might have been a less than fabulous end to his career, potentially, had he made those tours. So it makes a bit of sense to say, all right, well, now's a pretty good time. But also, New Zealand have no shortage of fast bowlers. You mentioned a couple, Jim. And therefore, perhaps there's a little bit of safety in saying that, well, there's so many coming through. So at 38, you might want to step aside and let them go through. Unlike some other countries, or perhaps even in India, well, that's changed now, where the fast bowlers were in short supply. So I think New Zealand do have that advantage, and they've played that by saying, Wagner, at 38, the kind of hard deck-hitting bowling that you do, maybe you should just take a break from country cricket.
We need to talk about Ireland, because history was made at the start of this month when Ireland's men won their first ever Test match, beating Afghanistan by 6 wickets in Abu Dhabi. Their first Test victory came at their 8th attempt, having been granted Test status back in 2017. So what does this mean then for Irish cricket? Well, we can talk to a player who won 232 caps for his country and was part of Ireland's famous Breakthrough World Cup in 2007, where they sent Pakistan home in the biggest upset the tournament had ever seen. He's now chair of selectors for the Ireland team. Andrew White, welcome to Stumped. Now, that Test win wasn't without a bit of jeopardy, was it? Because chasing 111, slumping to 39 for 4 wasn't ideal. But how was it for you? Almost strip away your chair of selectors, but as a former player watching as your captain Andrew Balbirnie got the side home with that half century.
Yeah, no, it was amazing, and never mind the 31 for 4, the 13 for 3 was even more nerve-wracking. And I suppose we always knew that any chase in the 4th innings against a side like Afghanistan is going to be difficult. But the way the guys, Andrew Balbirnie, Paul Stirling, Lorcan Tucker, saw us over the line was magnificent, and great credit to the players and their performance.
So if we ask that big question as to what is the significance of this Test win for Ireland cricket, what do you feel or hope it can trigger?
I think Irish cricket, over the last 20 years have always been sort of knocking off these big milestones along the way, and I suppose getting Test status or being granted Test status was a massive moment for Cricket Ireland. And when you're granted Test status, the next thing you want to do is go on and win. We nearly won our first Test match against Pakistan at home in Malahide, but Pakistan managed to get a win at the last moment. But as I say, knocking off these milestone victories along the way just reminds everybody about the talent there is in Irish cricket, and ultimately inspires the next generation. Some of the guys, you mentioned 2007, some of the guys playing at the minute won't really remember 2007. So we need big victories along the journey to keep inspiring the next generation to come through.
Andrew, hi, this is Charu Sharma from Bangalore. Can you give us a sense of what is more stressful? Was it your playing days or now being a selector? And being the chief of selectors, what about the pipeline of players coming through? Yes, there are many challenges. You mentioned a few, but do you feel there's a lot of homegrown talent just waiting to burst through?
Everybody says it's much easier being a player, don't they? Because you have some control over what's happening out in the middle. But I've got used to watching now. I love watching the guys, especially the young guys coming through the system. You talk about that pipeline of talent. In previous years before we became a Test nation, we had a lot of guys plying their trade in county cricket in England, and that was a great sort of learning environment for players. And they were playing against good players on a regular basis. Now our players are coming through our own system, and I think it's really rewarding when you see them perform on the world stage, because it does show that our own system can produce players. You take the likes of Harry Tector, who averaged over 50 in one-day international cricket last year. He was up amongst the best in the world. Somebody like Josh Little, who burst onto the scene against England in a one-day international number going back 4 or 5 years now. He's the first Irish cricketer to play in the IPL. So there's others like those guys who it's maybe taking us longer to see them come through, but they will come through and they will put in match-winning performances for Ireland. And as I say, that hopefully the next generation can get the exposure and the game time in different conditions. The Ireland Wolves side, which is the team underneath the international side, they're going to Nepal. A lot of young guys on that tour. They're going to Nepal in a couple of weeks' time, and that'll be a great experience for them. I don't know if you've seen much of the footage from Nepal, but their home fan base is incredible. They'll be playing in front of thousands of people, and that's the environment
and all sorts.
Yeah, and that's the environment that our guys need to be playing in on a regular basis before they make the step up to international cricket.
So, Andrew, do you have enough Test cricket at the moment? Just looking back, obviously there was the debut Test in 2018, 2 in 2019, then COVID, and so nothing until 4 Test matches in 2023. You've got Zimbabwe coming up. What comes after that, and how do you feel about the number of Test opportunities?
Yeah, Ali, as I just said there, it's important that we play more cricket, but again, it's got to be financially feasible. England were fantastic in terms of offering us. We played 2 Test matches against England at Lord's, and ticket sales. They've been great occasions. Should have, could have, might have won the first Test match when Tim Murray was ripping through the English in the first innings. But yeah, we're crying out for more cricket. We're really excited about the pathway that these guys are on. But it's so important for the guys coming through the system that they can aspire to not just being white ball cricketers, and that they can hone their skills at both red ball and white ball, because primarily really at the minute we're selecting guys playing across all 3 formats, and it'd be brilliant to have guys who specialise in red ball cricket and really churn out hundreds at Test match level. The way a lot of the other countries are able to sort of maximize their player base, and they can perform regularly at a high level on the world stage.
Do you think that the likes of yourselves, Afghanistan, Zimbabwe would benefit from being part of not necessarily the World Test Championship, but a World Test Championship? Because it's only the top 9 teams at the moment that are featuring. Could there be a 2-tier World Test Championship? Do you think Ireland would benefit from having that sort of structure?
Yeah, I think it's crying out for that, to be completely honest. But obviously the gulf between Afghanistan, ourselves, to India, England, Australia, there is a massive gulf there at Test level. But we want to improve. We want to give the players a chance to play and improve, and for those games to have some context. And I think if you have a 2-tier Test Championship, then it gives the guys something really to get their teeth into.
That was Andrew White, Chair of Selectors for Cricket Ireland. Now, we want to start hearing more from you, our listeners and viewers here on Stumped. So we have set up a WhatsApp number just for you so that you can get in touch direct with us via voice notes. That's right. And we can then play your voice notes on our shows each week. So we would like to start by simply hearing, where is it you are listening to us from? Whatever location, in whatever town, city, village, seafaring vessel, tent, aeroplane, you name it, in whatever part of the world, we would like to know. So send us a voice note telling us your name and where you are in the world to, here's the number, +44 800 032 0470. Finally, on Stumped, we are over halfway through the Women's Premier League in India, and the competition has moved from Bengaluru to Delhi for the run-up to the finals. Now, Delhi Capitals and Mumbai Indians were the early pace setters at the top of the table by the time the first leg finished, each with 3 wins and 1 loss. Charu, I know that you've been travelling all over India of late. In the course of your travels there, have you got a sense this year that the hype around the competition has sort of stepped up even from year one?
For sure. And let's not forget that the first leg was in Bangalore, home. So while I have been traveling, I've also been home on occasion. And you can feel the spirit in Bangalore. The stadium, of course, had wonderful crowds. I think enough has been made of that, especially, of course, during the home matches. RCB, for a change, started out much better than last year. So that helped the crowd get into the mood. Good crowds, good voice. I don't think the ticketing was particularly expensive. So that was certainly a bit of a help. And the stadium, it helps when it's absolutely in the middle of the city. So, of course, is the stadium in Delhi. But the tournament has started out very well. There were a couple of disappointments when one team does very badly to begin with. But I think the favourites have done very well. And the cricket's been good. So, yeah, it's a fabulous second season, to begin with at least.
It feels, doesn't it, that the contests have been much more even. Some lower totals can mean better contests. Jim, what about Gujarat Giants, though? Because they were the biggest spender in the auction, yet didn't pick up a single point in Bangalore. But, you know, on paper, they got such a strong side and a strong Aussie contingent as well. So hence coming to you on this, Beth Mooney, Phoebe Litchfield and Ash Gardner all playing for them. Did you expect more from them?
Well, when you read those names, you'd always expect more, wouldn't you? So that's disappointing. It's a quick competition, but yes, you'd always expect good players to do well. But it's a bit the fluky nature of T20 cricket that you can have your ups and your downs, and all of a sudden it's contagious, isn't it? And you can't get back into the swing of it. It doesn't take long to be either knocked out or to be winning a tournament like this, I would have thought, given the small number of games before you have a playoff.
Well, Gujarat have managed to get a win on the board in Delhi, 199 they notched up the other day. So they will hope that'll be the start of a bit of a turnaround in fortunes for them. But they were certainly chopping and changing, weren't they, at the top of the order through that opening leg with so many different opening combinations in their first 4 games. Charu, then what do you think we will expect throughout this Delhi leg? And Delhi Capitals, in last year's runner-up, they're playing at home now. Do you think home advantage is a thing, you know, given that Mumbai Indians won when it was all based in Mumbai last year?
Well, yeah, Mumbai did win where it was close. I think Delhi will certainly benefit from the crowd as RCB did in Bangalore. But just a quick word about Gujarat Giants for a second. The 140 that they had in that opening stand, or between Beth Mooney and Wolfart, was more than they scored, the whole team scored in their previous 4 matches. So the problem with them is that overseas players are certainly performing, but as you mentioned with that opening combination as well, the Indian players for the moment are not performing very well for Gujarat Giants. So that's a bit of a disappointment because really the Indian players need to pick themselves up and show their talent. But you make a good point about Delhi. If you want to ever play back, was it the last program or the one before where we chose our sides? And I did say Delhi, regardless of the fact that they're playing at home. But they've started very well. Meg Lanning's just such a wonderful cricketer. I think they are well on their way to winning this one, home advantage or not. Mumbai Indians might have a thing or two to say about that. But the contests have all been fabulous so far. I think the tournament has certainly arrived. It probably did in the first season itself, but there's a lot more attention now, and I think there's a lot more promotion as well. There's a lot more belief in women's cricket thanks to the WPL. So all that is really good news, but Delhi are certainly title favourites for the moment.
Now, that is all we've got time for on this week's Stump. My thanks to Jim Maxwell and Charu Sharma, and of course to all of you. Make sure you get onto that WhatsApp number. We look forward to receiving your voice notes, and we'll see you again next week. Bye for now.